Hello, welcome back to part 2 of this speaker upgrade of my Crafter Campervan. So I've got some home theatre surround sound speakers that I picked up on eBay quite cheap. So really I only wanted a couple of them, but they came as a set of 5, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. So I'm not going to use all 5 of them. I'm just going to use this one in the middle here, and then probably 2 of these little ones. I'm going to put these in the cab, so I'm actually going to suspend these from my shelf above the cab that I've put in. So it's a wooden ply shelf. I've got some threaded inserts that I'm going to put into the wood, try and make some brackets from some leftover bits of aluminium I've got from a previous project when building the van. So they've got some little threads in the back here, so I'm going to try and utilise those to make like a little L bracket to screw to the ceiling and then screw these to the aluminium bracket. Hoping it's going to go alright. I think trying to actually attach them to the van is going to be the hardest part, because I'm going to be working in a very tight space. So I've not seen someone do this before, and there might be a very good reason as to why not. I alluded to it in the first part of this series. If you haven't seen that, go back and have a watch. I'll put a card up here so you can click on it. But it might be that because these are house speakers, that actually the cones don't do very well with vibration. I've had that from someone I was talking to about it last weekend. But anyway, we'll see. Like I say, they're only cheap, so if it works, great. If it doesn't, then I'll just have to replace them with something else. But I think it's worth a go. So I don't know. Stay tuned and see how this goes. As I said in the intro, I had some aluminium left over from a previous project. This is aluminium flat bar. I was going to use this to reinforce the roof when I was mounting my awning, but decided against it. The kit came with some plates, so this has just been hanging around in the shed for a while, so I thought I'd use this. I've just roughly measured it to size and just put the angle grinder through it just to get the length that I wanted. Yeah, so then I put it in the vise and tried to bang it into a 90-degree angle. So this might make some of you like either laugh or cringe or cry, I'm not too sure which, but I probably should bolt this down at some point. But it is useful being able to move it around on the bench, but not when I'm trying to do something like this. Yeah, the camera did start shaking around a bit, almost like it's in a bit of an earthquake zone. But yeah, anyway, it came to 90 degrees with a bit of gentle persuasion with a persuader. And next up I need to drill some holes in it. So here we go, cheapest pillar drill in the world. Yeah, just whack some holes in it. So this will be used to mount the speaker to the bracket, use some button head screws, and then again be able to mount it to the shelf. Before I drilled the hole in the shelf for the threaded insert to go in, I just cut the 4-way stretch carpet, just so that when I put my drill bit through it, it doesn't all just wrap round the drill bit. I found that the 4-way stretch is great, but it just binds up round it and then stretches and it never goes back. So I just cut a hole just before putting my drill into the wood, just to make a pocket for the threaded inserts to go in. They say hindsight is 20/20. I really didn't enjoy doing this at the time. Trying to get these threaded inserts into this hole was an absolute nightmare. If you don't know what a threaded insert is, it basically goes into wood and gives you like a metric thread to be able to put a bolt into rather than a screw. So I decided to use this so I could use some button head screws. But I use these slotted type, which they kept falling off the end of my screwdriver. I now regret not buying the ones that you could use with a hex key. That would have made life so much easier. I could have balanced it on the end and it would have gone in the hole so much easier. This took me forever. They do, however, come in various sizes and do serve a purpose, so I've added a link in the description below just in case you guys want to find some for your own projects. But yeah, probably just learn from my mistake and buy the hex key version rather than the slotted head one, because yeah, as you can see, this took me much longer than what I'm showing you here. It was, yeah, never again. Anyway, after I got that screwed up, I then fitted the bracket to the shelf. So this is just by way of a little hex button head screw, machine screw. Initially I started off with it this way round, but then I decided actually maybe it'd be better to switch it round the other way and have it so that the angle actually comes over the top of the speaker and it'll pull the speaker back closer to the Perspex bulkhead that I've got. So yeah, I think this worked out a lot better, but it did make it a bit more tight, as I was saying in the beginning of the video. It just makes it a bit more tight to actually get that bolt into the back of the speaker. that was quite fiddly, I must admit. And eventually I actually took this all off again and painted the bracket black, so that when you're looking at it from the accommodation side, you don't, it's not as noticeable. And actually that came out quite well. So it was quite fiddly getting this attached to the bracket. Certainly took me a few tries and swearing, and yeah, it's mostly why there's no audio on this one and I'm doing a voiceover, because actually it's not really printable. So anyway, I got that one done, and I thought I'd just speed through the process of getting the centre one done, just so that you guys can see start to finish how this went. Just as I was bolting this up, the battery died in my camera. This is day 2 now. So I've got the 3 speakers mounted to the shelf, and I've run the centre speaker and the left speaker through the headliner, which I've previously cut, and down the pillar. So this will now come through the dash. I've got the dash apart. I've got my Android head unit out. So this is my aftermarket head unit, which normally sits in the centre of the dash. So that's now on the floor. So yeah, so now my next job is to get that speaker cable run through the pillar, through the centre of the dash, and to the back of the radio, so I can wire the whole thing in. So that's my next job. Once I've done that, I'm hoping that's it finished. I can test it and see how it feels. I'm still not convinced about the aesthetics of it, but maybe I'll get used to it, or it will just sound so good that actually I won't care. So anyway, I'll carry on with this and check in with you in a second. I've got the speakers wired up now. I plugged it into the head unit, given it a little test, and it all seems to be working fine. So quite pleased with that. It works first time. It's always nice, rather than having to troubleshoot your own work, which is always a bonus. So the next fun job is to put the dash together. It looks like it's gone through a chop shop at the moment, where everything's just been taken off and all its guts are just spilling out everywhere. So yeah, I think that's the next job. Well, it's the obvious next job, isn't it? I can't leave it like this. Put it back together and tidy up. That's all that's left. I might go and get the hoover, and because this certainly needs a hoover out. Give it a little dust down, get rid of as much dust and sawdust from the previous owner as I can still. I've owned it 4 years and there's still sawdust in here. It's unreal. Every time I do a job on it, I try and clean it, and there's always more sawdust. But anyway, let's get this back together, and I'll see you in a second. That's it for part 2 of this speaker upgrade series. Please do subscribe to the channel. It's fairly new, only started at the beginning of the year, so it'd be lovely to see some more of you subscribing. Do like the video and leave any comments below. Let me know what you think about these using these theatre system speakers in a van. I wonder if they're going to have the longevity of automotive speakers, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to leave them in and see how they get on. I've tested them on the head unit and they sound great so far, but the van's not moving yet, so I'll find out, I guess, the next time I take it for a drive. So yeah, let me know what you think. And on part 3, I'm going to be installing some Bluetooth speakers in the rear doors of the van. I think that's going to be a bit more of a job than I was expecting when I bought them. I didn't think 6.5 inches was as big as it is. They're quite large and much deeper than the door, so I'm going to have to build the door out. But that's for next time. So please do subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then when that video comes out, you'll get notified of that as well. So hope to see you on the next one. Goodbye.